It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In NFL news, the Baltimore Ravens released kicker Justin Tucker after 13 seasons with the team. Tucker is under investigation currently by the league for 16 allegations of sexual assault allegations allegedly taking place from 2012 to 2016. In college basketball, Florida head coach Todd Golden has received a 6-year, $40 million extension. Golden led the Gators to a 36-4 record and a national title in his third season at the helm. And this new extension ties him to Gainesville through the 2030 to 2031 season. Tennessee baseball back on the diamond tonight, looking to get back into the win column as they take on Indiana State for a midweek matchup at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. First pitch in that one set for 5 p.m. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. We'll have Coach Mack for his weekly Mack Attack coming up at 2:20 p.m. today. We got Jackson behind the glass, and now we got Ross shadowing you. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's going to try and learn something from me. I don't think this was a good idea, but...
Decided that.
What? Say that again, Blaine?
Just kidding.
And what's funny
Have fun there.
24 hours ago, Buck is saying that Jackson is not good at his job. And guess whose first call Bert is to make sure that he can cover for him when he's sick? It's Jackson.
So that means you number one uno.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how they come back around when they need you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, see? So maybe he is more Cam Ward than he is Will Levis.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying.
Oh,
the
my.
call came in, he rose to the occasion, and now he's on his second show in a row today, and he's shadowing. I don't know. Big Boss Jackson back there, Big Boss J. Wills.
I don't know. Cam Ward's not proven yet.
That is true. Maybe that's the thing. Jackson is not proven yet either. Maybe
He's
maybe
waiting
that's the
for
thing.
his turn. He is elevated at every level that they have asked him to do.
He's gone from he's a 0-star recruit to now the number one overall choice for when people are sick.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got, I love a good conspiracy theory, Blaine.
Ooh.
And right now, a couple of days ago, Sharon Moore has decided to, and Michigan has decided to give a self-imposed suspension for 2 games for the Connor Stallion stuff, which hasn't Harbaugh already been suspended for that, at Michigan? Like, I don't
And he
understand.
selected his games, too, by the way.
And so he's suspended himself for week 3 and week 4. I don't know really why this is coming about now. I don't know what it is. And of course, we talked about the documentary, and I don't really think there was much to prove that he actually did anything wrong. Like, the burden of proof was not there for me for Connor Stallions. But the Zach Reagan for A to Z writes, the suspension of Michigan head coach Sharon Moore leads to wild conspiracy theory about the Tennessee Volunteers going viral again.
What?
So I don't know if you remember this story, but when it came out that Connor Stallions was quote unquote allegedly cheating, that the Tennessee Volunteers found a connection with one of the coaching staff members of South Carolina, tied it to Michigan's coaching staff and Connor Stallions, and apparently Connor Stallions bought a ticket, then he turned around and resold it.
Jackson, you paying attention?
And all that kind of stuff. So supposedly the reason why South Carolina boat raced the University of Tennessee in their December 2022 game was because of cheating and Connor Stallions helping South Carolina and making sure that the University of Tennessee, who was ranked 5th at the time, who probably wouldn't move up in the rankings for a win over South Carolina, by the way, and preventing them from getting in the 4-team college football playoffs, which Michigan at the time was ranked 3rd overall. So, and they ended up, and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting because I tell you, I know that there's a lot of fan bases that do this, that make excuses, but man, does University of Tennessee come up with some wild excuses all the time.
What happened? What do you mean?
I mean, like, Hendon Hooker goes down with injury, and then they continue to get boat raced after that. They suspended Jeremy Banks right before this game and didn't suspend Hendon Hooker and for the fight and everything. So I do wonder, and in your opinion, what do you think hurt them more, realistically? Do you think it was the Hendon Hooker injury, this Connor Stalions supposedly alleged cheating scandal, or do you think it was the infighting, offense versus defense, and because every facet of the game, they looked disjointed. It wasn't that South Carolina was doing anything insanely impressive, like confusing. They were still South Carolina, but they themselves looked out of sorts and lost on the field.
Oh, yeah. Well, it could be, it could be all of the above, to be honest. I would lean into the personal, the Banks into it more, but then Hooker get injured because Rattler looked like he had never looked before ever. He probably got drafted just on that game there. I meant like fifth round, because at first he was supposed to be, first rounder, and then now all of a sudden he dropped and you don't know where he was going to go. And then he played his best game that game, and I don't know what happened there. I think the infighting there and the suspension of Banks could have, hurt that whole process. But, if they maybe that also were some, hidden cheating going on that, helped the cause as well. Just another layer to it. I don't know. Jackson, you're a fan there. What would you say it is? Would you say it was Connor Stallion and crew?
I've been thinking about this, Blaine. And Ross, can you hit my conspiracy music?
Ooh. Ross.
So my evidence comes from the esteemed journalist, Twitter user Rick Voice. You want evidence? Here it is, he says. In 2017, Coach Beamer, Shane Beamer, got suspended for stealing the playbook of Wake Forest while he was at Virginia Tech. I don't know if that's true, but Rick says it, so it must be.
Allegedly.
Rick also says Stallions was confirmed to have scouted other teams' signals and distributed them to said team's opponents. Thirdly, he adds in a second tweet, in the UT versus South Carolina game, South Carolina's defense wore wristbands with plays on them. Only game they ever did that. And finally, and most importantly, he adds, they put an extra amount of sand on the field prior to the game. South Carolina wore special spikes in their cleats to help their agility in sand. UT did not, and it resulted in Hendon Hooker's ACL tear.
You can't make this stuff up that you just said right there at the end.
Yeah, who was this? Who?
Some guy on Twitter. I don't know.
I need to know who it was just because I want to follow them because
Rick
that's
Boyce.
great content.
That was really good. I'm not going to lie.
That to me is the stuff I live for because that is just great content.
Wow.
I love it.
That was believable too.
Yeah, all that is believable. But I tell you, there's a lot of interesting Tennessee tidbits in the news. Dante Thornton came out and really thought today. He said that he joined the Raiders, OLV Raiders Network. And he revealed that he thought the Titans might select him with the first pick in the fourth round. He thought he may be going to the Tennessee Titans. He went to the Vegas Raiders just a few picks afterwards. He actually said, and this also comes from Zach Reagan, who's doing the Lord's work today. He provided a lot of content. He said, I actually thought the Titans were going to get me, said Thornton. They had the first pick in the fourth round, so I was thinking they were going to get me, but when they didn't, I was like, I don't know how this is about to go down. So, I mean, they did bring him in, showed some interest with him and everything, and he kind of fits what they were kind of looking for, that athletic speed, deep kind of guy, but they ended up going with Chimere Dike. So, once again, Florida has bested University of Tennessee.
How many, have you calculated how many players that they brought on visit that they drafted?
They, we know, so 30 visits, they got 2.
Right,
and I said
30.
about 2.5 is where I would put it at. Kevin Winston, we haven't gotten it confirmed, but there were 2 players out of their 30 visits
Colorado,
that we
right?
did not know. Kevin Winston, the safety out of Penn State.
Yeah.
And those 2 players were defenders. And so I would assume with Kevin Winston's injury history, they probably brought him in on the 30 visit. And if that's the case, that would have been 3 on the 30. And that's about normal for most teams. So,
10%.
yeah. And so a couple of the UDFAs that they've signed, they had shown interest in via Zoom. But as far as official 30 visits, it was Cam Ward and Femi Oladejo. And we're still waiting to hear about Kevin Winston. So everybody else, I think, was virtual or pro day and stuff like that. because they did show interest in Chimere Dike as well, but just not in a 30 visit. But it is interesting, though, that he kind of would have fit that bill of what they were looking for, but they went with Chimere Dike.
We had him as a higher grade on the
Had him
board.
as a higher grade on the board.
What do you think? Who you think was better?
Ooh, that's a tough one because in the fourth round, I think I would have leaned Dante Thornton because he had the size, the athleticism, not the maybe overwhelming, I wouldn't say overwhelming production, but not the production that Chimere Dike had, but Chimere Dike probably has better versatility. And so if I would assume of where he would rank on everything that they tried to look at, I would say, because you got to factor in injury history, right?
That's what I was going to go.
You got to factor in, can you play slot and outside? Because that's what they were looking for with that particular receiver pick. I would say Chimere Dike gets the edge.
Yep, I would concur. But there would have been a hesitation just on the 4-3. Now, there's an injury history with both players, but more so we're watching Tennessee much more, at least me anyway. Yeah. So you feel like you had an inside, knowledge that, dang, he got injured, every year. I mean, he was a productive player. You want to think that he could have been more productive. He could have just stayed healthy. Nothing major. I think he had the ankle dislocation maybe at the end there. What was that?
In 2023, he had a pretty nasty ankle injury against Missouri and missed the rest of the season.
Right? No, it wasn't.
Say that one more time. Sorry, Mike.
I thought it was for a touchdown. I didn't know.
Yes, it was a touchdown.
Yeah.
It was probably his best catch of that season. He made a really acrobatic play in the back of the end zone, hurt his ankle on that play, and missed the rest of the season.
So that probably would have led me. But Alec, Alec or Chiz. Which one was it during the time?
Chimere Dike was the pick
DK,
there.
Yeah, speed there, no injury history, so you lean into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately where it was the separation because they went through and they talked about can you play, physical athletic qualities, personal football character, are you wired right? Loving Monday through Saturday, not just, on Sundays, gym rats, medical component, your projection at the next level. So, and they were the same position. So I would say probably the deciding factor would be more than likely the medical component. Because I don't know much about his football character and versatility, I would agree. Because I think he can play on Sundays. I do think he has obviously the physical and athletic qualities. No doubt about that. Wow. No doubt. I don't know. I can't speak for the gym rats. Do you love football? Wired right kind of thing. I don't know much about Dante Thornton. Never heard of anything, so maybe that's a good sign. But I would say the medical component and versatility is what separated them. Steve Lamb wants to weigh in on the grading of producer Jackson's job so far.
Oh.
Steve Lamb says that was the only drop that was on time all day, and it was from the shadow. So it was from Ross. So just want to say, Steve Lamb's really out for your neck right now. Steve Lamb and Buck, they're out for you.
I think Steve Lamb just is Buck. That's Buck's burner in the chat.
Oh. I like it. Did that come from your volunteer Twitter guy? Conspiracy theory guy?
Rick has also informed me that.
Rick has also informed you that. When we come back, we're going to talk about the curious state of the Tennessee quarterback room, and Joey Aguilar isn't talking to anybody or something. It's something that was said on Ramon Kalen. We'll get into that. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Struggling with joint pain, suffering from a recent injury, looking to recover faster after surgery? Well, at Edge, we've got you covered. From powerful peptide stacks like BPC 157 or TB 500 to PRP treatments, stem cell therapy, and high film muscle stimulation, Edge Peptide is your go-to solution for faster healing and recovery. And as an athlete myself, I know how frustrating pain and injuries can be. That's why now's the perfect time to take control of your wellness and finally address those nagging issues. Whether it's golf, tennis, or any activity you love, don't let pain hold you back any longer. Edge specializes in regenerative treatments designed to reduce inflammation, promote tissue repair, and improve mobility, helping your body heal naturally while avoiding surgery whenever possible. And right now, we're offering a free $250 consultation with your initial treatment. And all you have to do is just go to edgepeptide.com. Yes, that's edgepeptide.com, or you can just give them a call today at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And before the break, we were talking about UT football and a bunch of the stuff going around with the conspiracy theories behind South Carolina and the UT football game from 2022. And so I just kind of wanted to bring up real quick. It was, and I'm trying to find it. I don't know what happened to my screen. Okay. I'm trying to find the PFF, or not the PFF article, the A to Z Sports article that just had up talking about what was said on Ramon, Kayla, and Will this morning. So until I find that, Joey Aguilar is still at Appalachian State. He has gotten the playbook and is trying to get through the playbook. I wanted to get your thoughts on, there's been some communication, but because there is a coach out on the recruitment trail, and I'm trying to find where it says that, because there is a coach out on the recruitment trail right now, I know where it's at. Here we go. Is on the wrong browser. This is a terrible start to the segment so far. Okay, so let's reset real quick. Austin Price of VolsQuest.com was on Ramon, Kayla, and Will this morning, and he said this, talking about Joey Aguilar. Once he gets here, it'll be very much accelerated. He's been looking at the playbook and trying to familiarize himself with it. Coach Joey Halsey, is that how you pronounce it? Halsey.
Is that right?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Jackson? Halsey. Been out on the road recruiting, so I don't think they've spent a ton of time on Zoom or anything to this point. But if everything works out, Joey told me last night that they're trying to get all of his stuff finalized with App State for graduation. If he's able to get all of that done and get everything sent over, he could be at Tennessee next week, the week of May 12th. So that's the hope. So when you hear that, because we've talked about, how learning this offense can be quite the experience, quite the hardship for some quarterbacks, and for Joey Aguilar to come in right away and pick it up is going to be pretty tough. It sounds like he's even further behind than what we kind of initially thought, because he hasn't been able to get to Tennessee, get on the field, and do all that. He's trying to do a lot of the stuff himself, but that's really hard to do when you don't have the coaches involved in your and teaching it to you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, especially being a quarterback. You're not even doing, like, typically during this time now, you're working out together. You're doing your own, let's say, 7-on-7, getting your timing down and things of that nature. He's going to have to get to know guys, who they are, names, let alone the offense and his way around campus and all those things. So, man, you just wish you could get that all out the way. You still have Zoom and you can reach, players in the nighttime or, So I'm sure they're talking a little bit, but not through the way you want to, get him immersed into the offense. So, because it's still going to be a learning curve even when you go live. It's just totally different. So, man, that stuff's led. So, hey, maybe Merklinger will be the guy just because he'll have the edge on knowing the offense. Somewhat like the Titans and Will Levis being here, knowing the offense beforehand and until Cam Ward gets up to speed. Yeah, it's kind of somewhat similar.
And if I'm not mistaken, spring practices are happening right now. What is it called right now?
Spring is over. They're working out still, doing things like that. But yeah, spring practice ended.
Yeah, as I mentioned just before, there is no organization as far as it's on the players to run their own style of whatever they're doing. So, it's player driven amongst the rules, correct?
Yes.
And right now it's, obviously because he's not enrolled to Tennessee, he can only do Zoom, but it doesn't even sound like because Housley is out on the road, doesn't even sound like, man, that they're even getting that much exposure. It sounds like to me, based on what Austin Price said, that doesn't sound like there's a lot of exposure for him from the coaches. And if Housley can't make time, which, by the way, Zoom is available no matter where you're at on the recruitment trail.
And that's legal, too.
It's legal. That's the one thing you can do. You should be taking advantage of that as often as you can. But if he can't do it, I feel like someone in the building needs to be doing it. I mean, on that staff. So it's very interesting to me that a concern that we had on this show about Aguilar coming in and whether or not it would be Merkslinger or not is like, to me, they gave Merkslinger a raise to keep him. Now we're looking at right now Aguilar coming in hopefully next week because, I mean, you're relying on a lot of people to do their job that's outside of their hands, right? Administrators at App State, administrators at the University of Tennessee. Like, that's a lot of moving parts to get a guy in here just next week. So I do wonder right now it kind of feels like it's Merklinger's job to lose. I know that Aguilar is getting paid more and he's got more experience, but this is a different type of offense to have to learn on the fly in what it feels like.
Well, I would assume that there's a lot going on that we don't know. Even though, they reported that, that's impossible. It's just no way. He has to be doing more. He has to immerse himself, at least learning offense. He's not even getting to learn the players. That's going to be a whole nother level of getting comfortable as an athlete, especially at quarterback. So, man, I would assume they are doing Zoom as much as they can.
I would hope so. I would hope that what was said is maybe not as dire as it sounded.
I mean, how often do you think the recruiters are from 8 in the night till 10, 11 at night? How much do you think they're recruiting?
I mean, not much. I mean, like, and then of course
it could be on the phone.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it and
FaceTime.
I would say, hey, can we put a timeout on recruiting or something? We got to get this guy up to date. It feels like there should be a better way to do this than the way, I mean, as it says here, they haven't spent a ton of time on Zoom. Doesn't mean they haven't spent any, but not a ton of time. And I feel like a ton of time is where you need to be at. You need to be over using Zoom. You need to be like having to pay Zoom Professional or whatever to get unlimited Zoom calls and all that kind of stuff and unlimited time, because I just feel if that's the best thing for your all's team at this point in time is to get Joey Aguilar up to snuff as quickly as possible. And it feels like they're lagging behind just more and more as the information comes out.
Yeah, I mean, especially with his schedule. He's graduating from App State or, something like that. Yeah, so that's why you don't want to make these kind of decisions in the spring. You want to do it in the fall at the end of the season. That was my whole big deal, because you put yourself in a bind here, and now either you're going to go with a transfer who's not up to speed with your offense, or you're going to go with a young player who has no experience in live action, live game, at least a lot of action anyway, let's say that. And, so you're going to be, and the expectations are still going to be high. That's not going to ever change.
So let me ask you, Jackson, as a fan, are you just brushing this off as no big deal?
I wouldn't say I'm brushing it off, but the balance between recruiting and getting Joey Aguilar up to snuff, it's a hard balance, because you can't take a break from recruiting. Recruiting is 24/7, 365 nowadays. I think it's going to matter more when you get him in person. How much do you really know if he's retaining all of this through Zoom? I think it really starts hopefully next week when he gets on campus.
Hopefully, if he gets on campus, because that's the big thing. Again, paperwork has to be filed, approved, and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure UT's end is not going to hold anything up. I'm sure they probably got everybody, when you see this name come across your desk, let's move that past, to the situation. But, you got to get all that stuff from App State. You know how hard it is to get transcripts nowadays, it feels like? It's a pain in the butt to get transcripts from college and everything. And I can't believe there are some schools or some jobs that still require transcripts. At this point, it shouldn't really matter, but it's wild, and it's also kind of the downtime of the administration year as well, and it's also kind of busy too, because it's two different things. Right now, it's probably busy because of graduation and all that kind of stuff. So where is he at in the queue for App State and for Tennessee is going to be a big deciding factor. It'll be very interesting. I think he'll make it, but it is because he's a football player, but it is it would stress me out if I was a fan.
I think it's more stress on him. on Joey Aguilar. I think he's probably the one stressed out trying to get all of these things done, all of these paperwork filled out, try to finish his classes and graduate and be ready to go to Tennessee and move
and
across
learn a new
the country.
System, and move and learn a new system. That's a lot. That's
got a busy week.
Terrifying, by the way. That sounds more props to him for going through and trying to do this all at once. But that sounds pretty terrifying, doesn't it, Blaine?
Yeah, that just it's definitely not something that you want to. But I'm trying to figure out. He was at UCLA in the spring, right? Like, so why is he graduating from App State? So wait, was he not taking classes at UCLA?
No. So I guess he accepted.
He was taking classes at UCLA, but I believe he already had enough credits to graduate through App State, but UCLA doesn't get done with school until June. App State finishes early this month. So he's going through the process at App State because it's quicker and we'll get him to Tennessee faster.
This is like the NHL draft lottery last night. I feel like I need a chalkboard or a dry erase board behind me to keep up with all this crap that these athletes have to go through.
I'm not even 100% sure I said that 100% right. I know I got the gist of it right, but...
I mean, this is...
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out, okay, so he was taking classes at App State during the spring, but just going to UCLA?
No, so he was taking classes.
So he wasn't taking any classes at App State. He was taking classes in the spring at UCLA.
At UCLA, but he had enough credits to graduate at App State. He just transferred
here's what needs to happen then, if that's true what you just said. He doesn't need to walk. He doesn't need to be taking classes. He needs to get his butt back down to Tennessee. See, that's what I'm saying. Something's not adding up. He's just down there to graduate? Well, then that's a one-day deal. That's not keeping him from being at Tennessee, getting acclimated, getting a home, getting settled in, sitting with the coach, because that's a one-day deal. He can fly his butt back to go graduate.
So there's no class at App State that he's having to take.
Yeah, and he's not going to walk. I think it's really just the paperwork process. He has to wait for.
So he doesn't have to be there.
Yeah, he can't meet with any Tennessee officials in person.
But can he meet with the players?
He can't meet with the players either. He can't go to a team workout.
Gotcha. But
this is confusing.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because couldn't he do something like, when Will Levis throws with Mason Kinsey or something at some other school? Can he not even do that? Because that's my question now. Man. But I didn't walk. Did you walk?
Absolutely.
You did? I didn't walk. I didn't care at that point. Yeah. I was so done with college. What about you? Did you walk, Jackson?
Okay, so I have the actual written down the process. Okay. So he received an academic a waiver to drop his in-person classes at UCLA, which follows a quarters academic calendar that ends June 13th. That allows Aguilar to move to Knoxville once he earns his Appalachian State degree. App State final exams end in 2 days on May 8th. So once those finals end, he can graduate from App State. He's not going to go walk at App State. It's just you have to wait for you have a graduation date set that's like on your diploma and everything. So once that date passes, he can move to Tennessee and be a part of the program.
Well, surely he's already got a spot picked out wherever he's going to live or campus or whatever, right?
I'm sure he's got a tour and, all that stuff. Nico recently, moved out. I'm sure.
Yeah, he could just move in wherever Nico lived.
Y'all could sublet each other's apartments.
They said he lived kind of far out from campus. You never know. He may not want to be that far. I don't know if that was true or not.
Oh man, this is
a poop show right here, man.
It's a mess, and it's a mess because it all goes back to the whole Nico situation and the timing of it all and the blinders, I guess, University of Tennessee had on, expecting that Nico would just get in line, even though he pretty much gave him every reason to believe otherwise, that he was not going to just get in line. But this is tough. I am so interested to see how this quarterback battle ends up and how successful this team is in 2025. I mean, like, Jackson, how successful do you think this team how successful do you think fans think this team is going to be in 2025 with the current state of the quarterback class? Like, not the sensible fans, the crazy paint rocks, riot in the streets, flip cars over fans.
Oh, Joey Aguilar leads us 13-0, 14, whatever it is now, and Heisman Trophy winner, all that stuff. That's what the irrational people are probably thinking.
Now, what are you thinking?
8-win football team.
Oof.
A decent bowl game.
Is that not a tough pill to swallow, or have you just accepted your fate because of the quarterback situation?
You lost your quarterback, and you lost your quarterback not in December. You lost your quarterback in March.
Yeah. What about you, Blaine? I mean, how you feeling about this upcoming season for the University of Tennessee?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah,
Yeah.
just based off their schedule. Unless, one of the, quarterbacks of all three of them, ends up playing better than expected. So that's going to just heighten it. So, and that usually typically happens when you get on campus and you're getting acclimated to the just the change of scenery. So, that people don't take that into account. They just act like it's just real easy, but it's not. They got to go through transition of knowing your coaching staff, your teammates. I mean, man, it's not just snap your finger while it'll put any person there and then boom, it'll just take off. Then learn your playbook, and then, oh, by the way, you're being judged with every throw. And if you make a bad throw, then all of a sudden everything is falling. I mean, so it's it's going to be a little bit different. He's going to have to get used to all of that and what comes with it, playing at Tennessee or any SEC school. So, boy, I just think it's a lot.
Speaking of a lot, I just look at this whole situation. That's a tough pill for everybody to swallow, including fans. And listen, blame Nico, blame Heupel. I don't care who you blame. You're in the situation. That's tough. I sympathize, and you know me. I'm not gonna truly sympathize with UT fans, but this sucks. Like, as a fan of just football in general and good SEC football, this is kind of a sucky situation for any team to be in. I mean, listen, Alabama's going through their own quarterback woes, and I'm with you guys. I feel like we're all in this together. And the fact that I don't trust Alabama's quarterback situation any more than I trust this quarterback situation. And I look at it and I go, man, it's tough, because I think that this could have been handled better by everybody involved. And I think everybody involved could have walked away in a better situation back in December than where they're at now. And this is the new life of the NIL era. And this is a tough pill to swallow for UT fans. I would have to assume. I mean, like, you can't be feeling good about this quarterback situation. I think if you're feeling good about this quarterback situation, it's all going to work itself out, because Josh Heupel, I think you got some real thick and real orange-colored glasses on right now, because there is no reason you should be feeling good about this University of Tennessee football team going into where you need a quarterback, into the SEC.
But, Jackson, you think Heupel can fix all with the quarterback quickly?
I think Tennessee will have competent quarterback play this season. I'm not willing to go above that.
So where is that on the Will Levis, Mason Rudolph scale? Is that Mason Rudolph competent but still bad quarterback play? Or is it like you're getting maybe 2022 Ryan Tannehill?
Probably closer to 22 Tannehill.
Yeah, which isn't great, but it'll
get the job done outside of the top opponents you play. And that's what I expect. 8-4.
Interesting. 615-737-1045 if you want to get in on the conversation. And when we come back, our justice system produces some hilarious ways to sue people. And then there's someone the NFL is being sued by a fan, and I'm going to tell you what they're being sued over, because it is hilarious. And they're being sued for $100 million by a fan. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. So an anonymous Colorado fan identifying himself as John Doe, so he's still anonymous, is suing the NFL for $100 million due to the emotional distress caused by Shadur Sanders dropping to the 5th round of the NFL draft.
Is it Shiloh?
I don't know. It's filed apparently in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
Yeah, so it's so he's a Colorado fan in Georgia. So in it, he wants a retraction of the slanderous statements made about Shadur Sanders, along with an apology for any harm caused to his reputation, implementation of fair practices in the drafting process to ensure that talented players are recognized and given opportunities based on merit, punitive damages in the amount of $100 million for the harm caused to the plaintiff and the impact of the NFL's actions on his emotional well-being. Any additional remedies the court deems appropriate, including compensatory damage. Conclusion. Plaintiff requests that the court consider this complaint and take appropriate action to address the intentional emotional distress and trauma suffered as a result of the NFL's collusive practices and the harmful statements made regarding Shadur Sanders.
What harmful statements did they make?
Well, I guess all the stuff, the anonymous scouts and the anonymous sources and the stories that came out and all that kind of stuff. But it's just, you can just sue anybody for anything. Now, listen,
that's for sure.
there is no way that he's getting any kind of money, but he's probably spending more money on the lawyer than he's ever going to see.
I've said somebody has money to waste here, but wow.
What you got, Jackson?
I just think this is a wild turn of events. Is this the defensive coordinator for the Falcons' son? Is this? Is it?
It could
A
be.
Colorado fan? He's trying to pivot. He's trying to make up some of that fine money.
He's trying to find some money for his dad. It would have been more believable if it had been just for the specific amount of $100,000. Just in Georgia, $100,000 just to help get his dad paid back. Oh my gosh!
Something to think about. Something the Twitter user we discussed earlier. With
Yeah,
him.
I will be very happy when Shadur Sanders is actually playing football. I mean, at some point, we just got to understand that Shadur Sanders is better than Dylan Gabriel, but he still has to play football, and he landed at one of the worst spots, I feel like, for him to go to, because I do like Kevin Stefanski, but this wide receiver room at the Cleveland Browns is terrible.
Who do they have?
Oh, my gosh. Well, they just signed Deontay Johnson, who, by the way, as we all know, is on his, 8th team in the last year or something, it feels
Right,
like.
the Steeler guy, right?
Yeah, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Panthers, all in 1 year. And then the
and
Texans.
back to the Ravens.
And then back to the Ravens.
Yeah.
And then he got cut, and now he's at the Browns.
Oh, my.
So he just signed there.
He's a good
Cedric
player,
Tillman, which he hasn't. I loved Cedric Tillman coming out, but he hasn't done very much at the NFL level. Jamari Thrash, who was a rookie last year out of Louisville, a slot-only guy. A little slow. Jerry Jeudy is the best wide receiver on this list.
Oh, they traded for him, yeah.
Yeah, they got DeAndre Carter, Deontay Johnson, Gage Larvaden, who's an undrafted free agent, Caden Davis, David Bell, and Michael Woods. Those are their wide receivers. Those are the players that Shadur Sanders went from having Travis Hunter, Will Shepard, LaJohntay Wester, and Jimmy Horn Jr. to this group.
Dang.
And then at tight end, they do have David Njoku and Harold Fanning Jr., which is good. And in running back, they have Quinshon Judkins, Jerome Ford, and Dylan Sampson. So this sounds like to me they're going to be running the football a lot. This may be the number one NFL team in rush attempts.
Now, I told you I didn't watch the draft, but they moved up to take Shadur.
Yes. Didn't they trade up for Shadur? I think so, yeah. After just when they could just drafted him. This is just insane. This is an insane turn of events.
Man, what receivers are out there that are veterans? I know Keenan Allen's out there, right?
Yes, Keenan Allen's out there. Amari Cooper is out there. Of course, he's probably not coming back. Elijah Moore signed with the Bills, so he's not out there.
Oh man.
I mean, those are the two names that are at top of mind.
Mm-mm. And they gotta have one more. They got at least it's serviceable. Maybe maybe Tillman will finally step up.
Maybe, but man, this
He
is.
show flash over here and there.
It doesn't matter who. It doesn't matter if it's Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shadur Sanders, or Deshaun Watson, which is their entire quarterback room, by the way. This is wild. This is such a wild team. Like, can you imagine being Kevin Stefanski and their GM right now, who's named Andrew Berry, knowing that this is the mess that you've created and that your owner, really, UT graduate, UT's own Jimmy Haslam, created. So, that's also something, for UT fans to consider that, you guys should probably just stay out of football at this point.
Did you just get up for some Jackson? Defend yourself.
I don't really have any defense on that one. Not gonna lie to you, bud. Just absolutely nothing for me over here. Peanut Gallery is closed.
It's just wild. And I know that people are like, who cares about Shadur Sanders or something, but I just find it funny at this point. Like, I mean, I feel bad for Shadur to a certain extent, but like, this is kind of just someone is suing, which is pretty funny. And the mess that they've created because they went and traded for Deshaun Watson, this is kind of everything that the Cleveland Browns deserve, in my opinion.
Yeah, the snafu with Watson. I actually believe, with no context to it, but a lot of people are saying that that's why they traded up to get Shador, because the owner said
so. We know how that's going to turn out.
So it's just probably they're going to like, hey, we need a receiver. We're going to draft one here. Get a good, get reserve at least somebody we can project to be a starter down the road. Man, whew. Hey, we can't laugh, man. The Titans situation is 3 and whatever.
I'll say this. I think at least
it's not like that though. I don't know. That looks
at least
like
our future looks a little bit brighter, and that's something that we're going to talk about. Here coming up is that we were talking yesterday. We kind of left like a little bit of a cliffhanger because we're talking about this pass rush and Femi Oladejo and how he's likely the 4th guy on the depth chart, which is not good for a 2nd-round pick. Yeah. So I went and pulled some stats. I also heard Ramon Kalen Will talk about what if the Tennessee Titans don't sign a veteran wide receiver or a veteran edge rusher at this, this next junction that are worthy players to be starting in the lineup. What does that mean for the Tennessee Titans defense? And that's something that we were trying to get to yesterday and we're going to get to today is like, it sounds like they're going to be leaning heavily on the coverage. And I got Blaine Bishop across from me and I want to know, can you lean this heavily on the coverage without a pass rush? And that's something that he's going to answer when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Ever wonder how I keep my mojo? Well, hey, it's Blaine Bishop here, and if you're looking for the best tacos in town, you gotta check out Mojo's Tacos. They've got 3 amazing locations, including my favorite spot in Nolensville. And Mojo's Tacos is where the magic happens. Whether you're craving their mouth-watering carne asada, their delicious fish tacos, or their famous street corn, they've got it all. And don't forget to try their house-made salsa. Man, it packs a punch. And each location has great vibe, perfect for family night or catching up with your friends as well. Plus, their friendly staff will make you feel right at home. So head on over to Mojo's Tacos and taste the difference. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Mojo's Tacos, 3 locations and 1 unforgettable experience.
It is 1:58. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In NFL news, the Baltimore Ravens released kicker Justin Tucker after 13 seasons with the team yesterday. Tucker is under investigation currently by the league for 16 allegations of sexual misconduct allegedly taking place from 2012 through 2016. In college basketball, Florida head coach Todd Golden received a 6-year, $40 million extension. Golden led the Gators to a 36-4 record and a national title in his third season at the helm of the program, and this new extension ties him to Gainesville through the 2030 through 2031 season. Tennessee baseball back on the diamond tonight, looking to get back into the win column as they take on Indiana State for a midweek matchup at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. First pitch in that one set for 5 p.m. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door, 615-737-1045. Coming up at 2:20, we'll talk to Coach Mack for his weekly Mack Attack, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford. And Blaine, they had a discussion, so I have kind of a hot take. And I want to gauge the room here on this hot take, because this is a safe space, obviously. I'm okay with the wide receiver room as it sits heading into 2025. I mean, at this point, there's not much you can do to change it, but I do like the variety of Calvin Ridley. I like the variety of the pieces. I think that you are relying on some young guys, but I would rather have young guys available for Cam Ward to start building up a rapport with for the future. You got Tyler Lockett. You have Calvin Ridley. And then whatever happens at wide receiver 2, or at least the other outside wide receiver spot between Van Jefferson and the rookies, I'm all for it. I don't have a problem with how this wide receiver room sits, and there's plenty of options to choose from. I don't think you really have to bring in any kind of veteran or make any kind of signing at this point. I don't think Amari Cooper or Keenan Allen gives you anything that you are lacking currently on this team. Is that a hot take?
That's hard to disagree. I like, the top 5 are going to be the rookies, with Lockett, Ridley, and DK, or Van Jefferson. So, that's the 5 guys. And then you're going to add in Oliver to some other guys. And I'm not going to say Restrepo until he plays. We got Kinsey. We got to talk about these other guys who are already on the actual roster or who have been here, who have proven what they can do. So until he can prove that he belongs, I mean, those guys are not counted for, maybe practice squad, but I'm fine with the group. Yeah, especially
Jackson?
A young group with the quarterback.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Cam Ward is a young player. Yeah,
I wouldn't be upset if they added another receiver. But I'm not upset if they don't either.
but who are you who you talking about adding though? If they did,
If out of all the guys in the open market, probably Keenan Allen. But I don't have a strong they need to go get Keenan Allen kind of interest. But if they did it, I wouldn't be up in arms. I think you should more focus on, for post-draft free agency, an edge rusher.
And that's where I'm at, because I do have a strong feeling on that, is that they need, and I know that's going to be really hard to coax him to Tennessee, because he's obviously on the tail end of his career more than likely, or getting close to it, and he probably wants to go play for a winning team or a contender, and he's probably willing to wait till someone gets injured or whatever. I would spend a couple extra $1 million above his asking price and bring in Zadarius Smith. I've been wanting Zadarius Smith for every free agency that he's been available. I've been desperate for Zadarius Smith to come to this Tennessee Titans team, because he provides actual pass rush juice, and this team right now, Blaine, as it sits, has no double-digit sack player. At any point, at any of these players in their entire NFL career have ever gotten double-digit sacks. In fact, the most that anybody has averaged per season is Jeffrey Simmons, and he doesn't play edge, but he has 6.4 sacks per season. Last year, 2 of their 5 edge rushers, Femi Oladejo, Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Lorenzo Carter, and Jalen Harrell, 2 of them had 0 sacks last year, Jalen Harrell and Lorenzo Carter. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but they also are the only 2. They also had only 2 tackles for losses last year. This is an abysmal edge room. And I cannot believe that we're still, again, another year where we're pretty much saying, man, this edge room doesn't really have a lot of guys that you can count on in big moments. And I feel like it's been the case for the Tennessee Titans for a while. I just don't get the plan with edge at this point. Is it just, it's a premium position because that's what they said when they drafted Femi Oladejo and why they drafted him. But they haven't treated it like a premium position.
Well, I mean, they tried to address it in Femi. I think what it says is you don't believe in Femi immediately.
Yeah, right.
I mean, at the end of the day, if they would have took Jackson or the Marshall kid, Green, would you feel better?
Yeah, I think I would.
See? And that's what that tells you is that you don't believe that, Femi immediately can be an impact, maybe down the road or maybe even halfway through the season. Here's where I'm at on it. Yeah, do you like this group? No. But at the same time, I would wait until training camp and even take it all the way to last cuts because those veteran players may still be available. And guess what? You get their price down. Guess what you're also allowing? Femi to get reps. You're allowing him to get some reps, get his feet wet, see what he can do, and see how fast he can start adapting to this league, see if he grows as a pass rusher, get some moves, at least a couple moves that he's perfected and counter moves. And then you got other guys here, the Jones and Carter, you said no sacks. Well, these guys going to be hungry. Guess what? They're all in one-year deals. Sometimes having some a little hungry, then it's going to lead to maybe 4 or 5 sacks in a season instead. And then they do it as a unit, maybe not one great pass rusher, and then Femi kind of learns a lot from them, and then hopefully things get to going. So I would wait until probably training camp, especially those veteran guys. They don't want to be in training camp anyway. We know what they can do and what they can bring to the table, because if you bring one of those guys in, that's going to take from Femi's reps. So how much do you want to be all in? So if the organization is all in on this is a 2 or 3 year process for us to build, and Amy's all in on that, and it seems as though she is based off their moves. Then I think you're all in. Because, see, if you thought this was a playoff contending team, I'd be like, hey, we need another receiver too, a proven one.
Right.
But we're not a playoff contending team. We're a growing team, that's trying to at least look respectable and get better each and every year. So if you buy into that, I'm okay right now, as of right now. Yeah. But if you see no pressure during preseason, nah, you got to start making some moves. The secondary will not be able to live. I'm sorry, especially in this day and age with the rules all favoring offense. Oh, no way. No, I don't care how good they are. I don't care if you. There's no Samari Roll walking in that door.
I don't even know Samari. I mean, could Samari Roll without a pass rush? I mean, be with the Samari role that he was.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was pretty good. So, but we had pass rush, but we had a different style, and they're somewhat similar. But I just, if you think you're going to go through a season with these guys not putting pressure on quarterback, man, we are going to be here for a long season. I also believe that the team has to have not only just a running game to help your quarterback and weapons. I think you need a top 12 defense. They are there. That not with that group. No. To help him. Maybe I'm a year ahead of where they should be, but if you're trying to get success for the quarterback, a young quarterback, a rookie quarterback, I think that's where you need to be. And I don't see that. I don't
because
even know.
you gotta have one or the other, right? You either gotta have a really good offense,
yes,
that helps your young quarterback, or you're gonna have a really good defense. They both can't be below average.
Yes.
And they both really can't, and one can't be average and the other one be below average. You're gonna have to be above average in one if the other one's gonna be below average, because you got to get everything to even.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think they're anywhere close to being where even though I have more faith in the offense right now as it sits than I do the defense. We'll see how that actually plays out or not. But I don't think that they're going to be an above average offense. this looks to be a below-average defense because you have to have pass rush. We just saw it.
Yes.
It was evident in almost every game that the Tennessee Titans played, every game played across the NFL last year, evident in the biggest game of them all. If you don't have a pass rush, and if you're relying on Draymond Jones to be a pure edge guy, I know that was a new transition for him in Seattle, but he didn't show a lot of he didn't take to the transition very well. And that's my other thing is like, okay, you got Lorenzo Carter coming in off a 0 sack season. Jalen Harrell's 0 sack season. Arden Key, 6.5. Draymond Jones with 4. And then Femi Oladejo in the NCAA had 4.5. That's not a... I know sacks aren't everything in the NFL.
No, but the number 0 is.
Yeah. I mean,
now, and when I watched him, I didn't even look up the sack number because I'll start having a picture of them. But I don't feel 0 sacks when I watch them. I'm going to say that.
Okay.
I feel like they put pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's start there now. 0 sacks, that kind of stuns me just to hear that they had 0 sacks.
Yeah, not even a half a sack.
They had pressure on the quarterback. And they were relentless. I'm gonna give them that. But the numbers are what they are. So at the same time, even if they got there and they missed them, I felt like they put pressure on. So we'll see. Even like Carter, I feel like he's a better player than 0 sacks. Man, it's almost like when we watch the A&M guy, guy, and you go, oh man, he's whatever sack number. He had a low sack number. But he still
1.5.
Shamir or whatever his name is. Yeah, he still went first round, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep, because when you turn on the tape, you see effort, you see pass rush moving, you go, well, how does he have 0 sacks? And he just missed the guy at the point of attack, numerous times. So maybe these guys are somewhat like that. Because I don't feel that when I see them. When you go watch tape, now I'm not watching every game, but when you watch them, you go, okay, you watch 2 or 3 games, you're like, oh, okay, you're seeing him miss guys, but you're not looking up his sacks numbers. So you're right, numbers aren't everything, but it does tell you a little bit about the pitcher. And 0, the goose egg is, I'm sure, going to piss them off, and they're going to be ultra motivated. And that's, to me, what they're banking on. Because when you watch the way they play, these dudes are motivated.
Yeah.
These dudes run with violence. All of them. Those guys they picked up.
Right.
Even Femi, you go, well, dang, he has no move. But he is up at record shop. I don't know if he'll be able to do it at this level, but effort won't be the issue. It will be, can you just get the quarterback down?
And that's what worries me, because most of these guys, besides obviously Femi, have been in the league a minimum of 6 seasons so far. Some of them from 6 to 7, 6 to 8 seasons. I just worry.
But, it is a concern.
Yeah.
I'm not going to – if they don't get any pressure, it's going to be a long season, especially if the offense is
because you're going to have to start blitzing.
And then you put them at harm's way now. You're talking about blitzing. You're going to be predictable. Then they're going to do the one-on-one.
And there's still a team that didn't even like to blitz last year, even though I thought that was going to be one of the big things that was going to change between – now they blitzed more than the Bo and Vrabel era, but they still didn't blitz a lot, and that's what worries me right there. Is like they're going to have to even. It feels right now they're going to have to blitz even more. And I just feel like if you're going to talk about this being a premium position when it comes to the draft, you got to treat it like a premium position when it comes to free agency too. And listen, I like Draymond Jones, but I really think that Draymond Jones needs to be on the defensive line more often than on the edge.
I would probably concur with that.
And so, like, then you're looking at Lorenzo Carter, Jalen Harrell, and Arden Keen. We don't know really what Jalen Harrell can be, to be fair. He's only had 1 season. But you relying on a 7th-round pick, it just felt like they didn't treat this. They treated it like a premium position when it came to use an excuse on Femi Oladejo, but not really in free agency. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, you could have gone a little bit more premium in free agency if you really wanted to. I know. Sorry, I don't mean to paint such a bleak picture on a Tuesday.
Know, it says yet to be determined until we see him on the field. But
let's go to Van, who wants to talk about the NFL draft. Van, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
No, it's Dan.
Okay.
Dan, sorry about that, Jackson.
That's good. It's good. Hey, it's not rocket science, or it shouldn't be. As long as the Titans are having to play against teams that's got Lamar Jackson, the Patrick Mahomes, it's Joe Burrows, year in and year out, they've got to get somebody who can get after the quarterback. I mean, as long as we're paying those guys and we don't have nobody, we can chalk it up as an L every Sunday.
Yep.
I mean,
I'm with you.
I mean, are there any veterans available right now that haven't signed and may still have some tread left on the tires? Of maybe we get a year out of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's Darius Smith, Preston Smith, and a couple of other ones.
All
I mean,
those are capable guys.
And then again, they're probably just waiting right now. They're waiting for their opportunity to maximize their money because they're kind of mercenaries at this point.
Yeah.
And I feel like you got to, if you're going to want to pay them, go ahead and pay him. I would overpay for Darius Smith.
How many sacks did he have last year? He was with the Ravens.
He was at a few teams. Zadarius Smith last year.
Because I remember I wanted him 2 or 3 years ago.
He ended up with 9 sacks last year between the Lions and the Browns. 9 sacks. And so that's exactly what Harold Landry left with. And to me, I'm looking at Zadarius Smith. I'm like, that's a guy that's been around a bunch of locker rooms, a bunch of locker rooms. He's been healthy and available as well. So, like, to me, I'm looking at a guy like that, and I'm like, he fits the bill of everything they're looking for, and they said they've looked for. They just got to go spend the money, and sounds like maybe there's a waiting game is what I would assume at this point, because unless they haven't kicked the tires on Zadarius Smith, and if they haven't even called Zadarius Smith to find his price tag, then I got bigger issues than anything else, because like that is just ridiculous. So I'm assuming they did. But also, if you're one of those people that believes in, well, when they go from 90 to 53, they could find a guy there. Well, those guys aren't 9-sack guys. Those guys aren't going to solve the issue. They may solve your depth issue, but they're not going to solve anything other than that. When we come back, we're going to talk to Coach Mack for his weekly Mack Attack. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, folks, I've been talking about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance for years because they're the leading experts in sports medicine and performance and the team physician for the NFL, college, and high school athletics across Tennessee. And TOA provides sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. They have 29 locations throughout the state and over 100 physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. And TOA has 11 urgent care locations with walk-in availability 7 days a week. They offer direct access to sports medicine and performance, physical therapy and nutrition, personalized rehabilitation plans to enhance mobility, reduce pain, and improve overall physical function for patients recovering from injuries or surgeries. And TOA also offers sports performance training, a specialized program designed to enhance your athletic performance and provide tailored training solutions for athletes at all levels. So please check out their services at TOA.com. Yes, that's right, TOA.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. But it's 2:20 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, which means it's time for our weekly Mac Attack, and we're going to Coach Mack. Of course, you can hear him on Titans Radio, the original Titans podcast. Is it? Yeah, it's original, OTP. And official Titans podcast. And, of course, he's brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer. Coach Mack, I'm a little worried about this pass rush that the Tennessee Titans are going to try to field in 2025. And I know that there are players that could be cut later on down the line at training camp. There are still some players out there available. But this group right here, bring me out of the darkness, bring me out of the abyss, and tell me why I should have confidence that the Tennessee Titans can generate some pressure with their current edge room.
Well, first of all, worrying's not going to do anything for you at all. I mean, it's just gonna age you prematurely. So don't worry about it. Not a thing you can do about it. It's just like we can all do all the preparation we want for the draft, but you got to have complete confidence in what these people are doing. They spend it's more important to them than to anybody, because I mean their livelihood's on the line. I did that for over 3 decades. I know what it is. So just I'm looking forward to just getting up there and starting to watch some of these guys work. And it's going to take some development on these guys, but worrying about it does zero about it. We just got to let it. We got to let it unfold, guys. Just let it unfold. So here's what I would do, Zach, to help you out. I would be able to just keep my powder dry a little bit so that it doesn't harm your health.
Well, I will say this: my mom in our Christmas stockings recently gave me some eye rollers that are supposed to get the bags out of your eyes. So I think she's also worried about the stress the Tennessee Titans have put me through recently, and I am taking it, I guess, a little too personally.
Well, I think all three of us have mothers that have worried about us all our lives, and you know what? They were probably right by doing that.
That's true. That's true. When you look at this draft, I think it's very interesting that the Tennessee Titans walked away with players that from the outside looking in, it looks like they have conviction in almost every one of these players. And they may, whether you want to call, I don't know if the term reach is the right term to use, but regardless of where they maybe had lined up on the consensus board or where the nerds think it's at, they had conviction in all these guys. And they all had a similar trait into which that these players have good head on their shoulders. What has been your sense about this draft class and their belief in all of these players?
Well, first of all, I agree with you wholeheartedly. They believe in these players, or they wouldn't have picked them. As I say, you never, ever, ever, even sitting in the draft room, when you put together your big board, and all the other 31 boards are going to look different. That's why all this consensus stuff that's out before, nobody's ever telling anybody what their boards look like now. So you're going to pick people that you really have conviction in. As much time as we spend, because I spend a lot of time on the draft, you spend a lot of time on the draft. Blaine's done a lot of drafts in his time since he quit playing. We still don't spend as much time and have as much information as these guys have. And I'm talking about in all of these 32 rooms. There is so much more information, and I can say that with pure accuracy because, for over 3 decades, I know what kind of inside information they have. So, but what they look, this is, they have said that they have publicly said that they are trying to rebuild this whole thing. And so when you start rebuilding it, you not only make picks, for the now. I mean, this organization tried that last year of quick fixes. Didn't work. You've got to build. You got to build and develop through the draft. And develop sometimes takes a little bit of being able to look forward to what players can develop into. When you make a choice to bring them into what you are trying to build. And so, to me, they have got throughout the board. When you start looking, and I don't get to talk to any of these players. I'm not sure you guys do either. Get to talk to any of these players and be able to vet them as people. But it seems like just with their backgrounds, they've all got a pretty strong line of former captains or guys that have been very successful, some guys that have overcome more than others to get to where they were at that point in the draft. That's the thread that it looks like to me, because the thing about it is, it's not only can they play football, which is huge, but they've got to be able to handle the mental grind of it. And that unless you know the people, you can't really vet that. I know they spend a lot of time vetting that. So I'm looking forward to just watching them work. That's what I'm looking forward to, and having patience enough to let it unfold.
They've kind of, talked about having a quarterback battle or whatever between Will Levis and Cam Ward, but really we know that it's all kind of, we kind of know it's Cam Ward's job, but I guess things could be changed, and it's up to Will Levis to change their mind. But at the end of the day, he is the number 1 overall pick, and you expect him to start. But talk about why, because we talked about it a little bit yesterday with me and Blaine, about why making a guy earn it, even if it's against, a guy like Will Levis or Brandon Allen, kind of like Jaden Daniels had to earn it, or Caleb Williams or C.J. Stroud, or any of these guys had to earn it instead of it being given to him.
It's for the mindset of everybody else in that locker room too, because once you get into a locker room, Blaine can talk about this forever because he was an integral part of locker rooms that had to build up and be successful. Is this? It's got to be a meritocracy. You've got to, regardless of how you get in there, you still have got to earn your stripes in the National Football League, and that is imperative, because if players really think that somebody is getting preferential treatment, because all of these guys that come into a locker room, no matter whether they've been there a while or whether they're coming in brand new, they have been at the top of the pile where they are coming from. So everybody figures, I got here on my merits. So clearly all of us are going to have to earn our next spot at the next level by our merits. That's a huge reason for it. I can tell you that just imperatively, from going from an assistant coach all the way to a head coach, you want that mindset in your locker room to not only permeate, but that has to be the truth, and they have to believe that, and that's a huge part of it. Once they and look, it may take some guys longer than others to earn their stripes, but regardless of the time frame that it takes to earn your stripes, you've got to earn it. You've got to earn it, because this is a hard business. But once you earn it, you not only earn the job, you earn the respect, and respect in a locker room is a huge issue.
We're talking to Coach Mack for his weekly Mack Attack, brought to you by Tours Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Well, Coach, naturally the draft has gone and passed, but there was a lot of prank calls going on. I'd love to.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? I hadn't seen it, and I don't know if that had been happening for a while. And that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, is there anything the NFL can do, or what I was thinking was like FaceTiming players instead of actually, having them, answer phone calls. That way they do know it's coming from an actual coach. That way you're not answering prank calls. So most of these guys, especially those high-profile guys, are getting new phones just, for the draft. So I just didn't know what they could actually do, if anything. But, man, that was just really ridiculous in my eyes.
You know what? It really, I agree with you 100%. It was completely ridiculous, because look, this is a nervous time for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what of whatever they've accomplished, it's still nerve-wracking for them. It really is. And so that to me was ridiculous. Now, what went on down there in Atlanta? That's, first of all, the NFL can find the people that are involved in it, if they're involved in the league. That would, with Ulbricht's son, that was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely ridiculous. That's uncalled for. What I would want to know is how they are getting these phone numbers, because I know personally, when you're working on, you gather everybody's phone number as to where they're going to be and the exact number they're going to have. But somebody, wherever it's coming from, and these were all different people that had these phone numbers. I don't know whether now because of how widespread social media is, whether you can find your phone number on social media, whether they can. I mean, but that was an inordinate amount. I agree with you 100%, Blake. That was completely ridiculous because that comes at a time where, I mean, that's not a prank call. That is something that is pretty devastating at that point, just because of the state of mind that these guys are in, waiting for a call. Especially, you know, you've only got a small number that are ever invited to the draft, but everybody else spread across the country, they are sitting waiting for this very important call. I mean, that's the worst I've ever seen it. I agree with you, and I've been through a lot of them. I've never seen that many at one time. I want to know how people are getting these numbers.
No doubt about it. Well, with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack. I know, Coach, they have Cody Barton signed at linebacker, but you're going to have, 3 linebackers, young guys, some with a little more experience than others, with Reese and Gray and James Williams, man. What will you be watching to see, who will have the edge in getting that nod as the starter?
Well, first of all, having coached that position for a lot of years in this league, you want somebody that's going to be able to absorb it and know what they're doing really quick. There's nothing worse than having somebody stand at that position behind the line of scrimmage and be unsure about what's happening, because it ties the front and the back end together. You know this. You've experienced this. You've got it. So that's the number one thing. That's the number one thing. Know what you're doing. Regardless of your years of service, know what you're doing so that everybody else has confidence in the call that's being relayed, and not only the call that's being relayed, because you can get the call, but being able to be very definitive with it and definitive with the adjustments before the ball's even snapped. So that was always the thing to me that, when I was vetting guys, especially those guys that were behind the ball, and I would tell them in my meeting rooms, look, you are the conduit from the front to the back. You connect both of these things, so it's incumbent upon you to know exactly what's going on so that people have confidence in you. And now, you can take direction from guys, because most of the safeties, as you well know, are really dialed into that. But those guys down front, they depend on that. And some of the guys in the secondary depend on it too. So, but be that as it may, you've got to be confident, and that's on those individuals. So whichever one of those guys, to me, can step forward quickly and earn the trust of the coaches. You earn the trust of the coaches, then you earn the trust of the players. That's the most important thing I always look for in that position. Always.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Coach. I have one more question here, and what's the order of importance to an offense and a young quarterback? Here's the 4: running game, protection, weapons, and defense. Let's put them in order: defense, weapons, protection, running game. What order do you think?
It's protection and running game to begin with.
Okay.
Because those are something that you can control. You can control. Those are extremely important. Now, the ultimate team game, I mean, it clearly is tied into, what kind of help there's going to be on the other side of the ball. But protection and the run game, that's where everything else comes off of, because now as a play caller, your playbook is open to you. If your playbook is restricted because you're worried about protection or you're one-dimensional, that's a problem. Not only for young quarterbacks, but for any quarterback.
There you have it, Coach Mack.
Coach Mack, when a rookie minicamp comes along, and we know that we're going to see video clips of players doing drills and all this stuff, and infamously, when you see these clips, I remember you got every armchair Twitter analyst or social media analyst critiquing someone doing the step over the bags drill. I remember Derrick Henry struggled because it's something that he wasn't used to at Alabama. Can you just kind of tell the fans about what to expect at rookie minicamp and talk about those those videos that may come out where they're doing these drills and they may not look comfortable, and why they may not look comfortable?
Well, I mean, it's their first shot out of it. And a lot of these guys, especially going through this pre-draft process, if they're making 6, 7, 8, 9 visits around, think about that. Ask Blaine right there when he was training. If your training schedule is interrupted, you're making trips, you got to fly, you got to this and that. This is the first step. Here's the 2 things I would say to our listeners that I've gotten very close to over the years that I've been doing this on the radio. Don't be an IE, okay, number 1. Biggest detriment ever. Don't be an IE, which is an instant evaluator. That's number 1. Number 2, keep your powder dry. If you can remember those 2 things, it'll save you a lot of anxiety.
When you look at this undrafted free agency class, I've noticed that they brought in a lot of defensive backs, but they brought in a guy that I'm having trouble finding tape of, but Devontae O'Malley, the defensive lineman out of Northern Illinois. I'm just curious, have you been able to procure any kind of tape and see what this kid can bring potentially as an undrafted free agent for this team?
I have not looked at any. I don't even know who the free agents are right now, other than I know that the only name that I've seen. They haven't released them, so I don't even begin to do any of that stuff until I know for sure they're going to be here, because that process is, you know, from the time, just having done it for a lot of years, from the time you contact a guy and they agree and say yes to the time as to when everything's buttoned up. There's a lot of things that can happen along the way that keep that from happening. So I have not looked at one free agent because I don't know who they are.
Gunnar Helm, it was brought up over at the install on Friday. I know you know that one, so we're gonna end with this one.
Okay.
So Gunnar Helm, they talked about Brian Callahan and Greg Cosell at the install specifically talked about his wingspan and how it would help Cam Ward with throws over the middle of the field, which Cam Ward loves to throw. Can you just talk about, I mean, obviously I know bigger arms, longer arms means you have a better catch radius, but they made a point to emphasize that. Can you talk about that emphasis on wingspan with middle of the field catches?
Well, that's extremely important because, first of all, that is the first field of vision for a quarterback, regardless of years of experience. That middle of the field is the first field of vision for them. The other thing that happens then too, as quickly as a quarterback can recognize which coverage he's been presented with, the middle of the field. And again, you can ask Blaine whether you're playing too high, you're playing single high, whether you're playing zone match. Whatever you're playing, there's a point as to where that middle of the field, because of the way the hash marks are in the National Football League, people have got to be spot on as to where they are defensively against the middle of the football field. The catch radius part of it, if you can get it within that radius of someone that's running the middle, or like running the railroad tracks, as I call it, there are chances, there are open windows there a lot. There are a lot of open windows in the middle of the football field. And the other thing that happens too is a lot of times that's not your primary throw, but if that's your secondary throw, the coverages have already started to rotate or evolve towards where they think the primary throw is going. So that's extremely important to be able to have windows to throw in there. And the wider the window, the greater the chance for the completion.
Well, Coach Mack, I know you're looking forward to rookie minicamp this weekend.
Yes.
Get your first look on the players this weekend. So have a good weekend there. Other than that, great talking to you today.
Looking forward to seeing you guys there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you.
When we come back, we'll talk more about the Tennessee Titans and rookie minicamp. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop of Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you it'll be ready at 4 p.m. and it's not, people are really tired of that stuff. So if you've had it with the unreliable vehicle repair shops, come on over to Eurofix. Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable, and Eurofix has your vehicle ready when it's really ready so you don't have to stand around waiting all freaking day. And Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer and without the dealer pricing. And that's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of the dealership's overhead, and that's a lot of money. And why would you want to pay for that? Well, a Eurofix Reliable also means 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. So make sure you call ahead as loaner cars are very, very popular. So if you are tired of the unreliable repair shops, come on over to Reliable, and that'll be Eurofix. Family owned for 26 years. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But I was done playing, said you.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And Blaine, a little bit of Titans adjacent news, I guess you could say. But John Gruden, who served as coach of 3 NFL teams, has become a part owner and advisor of the Nashville Cats in the Arena Football One League, where Jeff Fisher is obviously over there as well. Should we get into the Arena Football League, you and I? Like, should we be, you be a coach, I be a GM, maybe find us an Arena Football team that will hire us?
I don't know. Maybe you. I'll get into the ownership or something. I don't know.
You want to get
how's the attendance going there, man? I haven't been to one in a long time.
I have not. I haven't been. Gosh, were they the Vipers at one point that was here?
Were they?
I think the Vipers were here after the Cats left or whatever. Is that right, Jackson?
Vipers won a title, if I do remember correctly, in
I've
like
been
2015.
to a Vipers game. Yeah, I've been to a Vipers game up at the Municipal Auditorium. That was a fun game.
Fun times.
It was a fun time. But I thought that did you get are you a little miffed that it was John Gruden, not you, in this situation?
Oh yeah, of course, man. Nobody reached out to me. I can't believe that. I'm a bigger name than John Gruden.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, he's doing Barstool Sports.
Love his stuff. It's
hilarious.
Funny. He's hilarious. I love me some Gruden, man.
Oh, it's the Nashville Venom. Preston is right. It's the Nashville Venom.
Yeah. Well, so Jeff is no longer part of it?
No, Jeff still is. I mean,
okay.
I guess he just sold some shares or whatever.
Commissioner of the Arena Football League.
Oh, he's the commissioner? Oh, he's a commish.
He's the commish.
I didn't know if he was going to, need some spare time to go ahead on with his son there at Bowling Green. Since he's no longer at TSU.
Well, you never know. You brought it up. But what do you need to see from these young inside linebackers this offseason to make you feel good about the position opposite of Cody Barton? And the depth, really, because Cody Barton is the one starting inside linebacker we know of, and we know they've mentioned Cedric Gray and relying on him to step up. But I do know C.J. Mosley is still out there. There's a couple of inside linebackers and stuff. But, I mean, you invested a 4th-round pick in Cedric Gray. You invested and switched positions in James Williams last year as well. You still got Otis Reese on the roster. You picked up Curtis Jacobs off of waivers, who's also a young linebacker. Like, it's a very young room, and I know that they're rebuilding. They're building from the foundation up. But what do you need to see to make you feel good about the linebacker spot opposite of Cody Barton?
Yeah, as of the way it's constructed now, I would not sign a veteran like C.J. Mosley, who I have a lot of respect for. I think he's a really good player. I just want to see these guys are going to now have to get live reps in games consistently over and over again. So you can evaluate them first and foremost once the season starts to see who's going to win. I would say the inside, I would say who has the best shot is probably Cedric Gray, but there's a part of me I like Otis Reese. I think they didn't really evaluate him because they didn't know much about him until they got here and saw him play in a live game. I thought he's a converted safety guy who showed he has some punch and could really run. But Gray, as time went on, even learned how to play and brought the intensity level he needed even on special teams. So I think he will probably be the guy, Gray, but it's going to be a battle. And I think they should roll with those guys, and then naturally the other one can be universal behind Barton in case something happens to him. So, yeah, I'm not – if you take the mindset that this is a, young, growing team and we're building our foundation, I don't think a veteran like C.J. Mosley or someone of that ilk, even like Keenan Allen on offense, that's not going to help me. I'd rather sign a younger player and keep it moving and see if we find a gem, there.
Find a guy maybe that was a former 2nd or 3rd round pick on another team that they're giving up on, and maybe they cut, and you can maybe take a chance and develop them, because that does happen.
Yeah.
It's very few and far between, but it does happen at all positions. And I'm kind of getting to the point with you, and something that I want to talk about tomorrow. Of course, we're also going to have Mike Herndon of PK.com. He's also going to join us tomorrow because he did a fantastic piece recently about what they're trying to do, what the message the draft sends to the fans. And I thought it was a real interesting piece. A lot of stuff that we've touched on, but something that we've kind of touched on is kind of like patience, right? That's been the motto of this, patience, not panic. And I do wonder, I think that there is patience right now. Now, like it's kind of like when a football player comes on the field, right? A new one where he's like, man, we got a lot of hope for this player. Then he gets on the field and he's not good, like, because it's different, right? When the spotlight's on you. And for ownership, they can say all they want right now, that they're going to be patient, that they're okay with the rebuild. But man, when the lights come on a Sunday and you're getting mollywopped, 40-0,
Yeah.
And that takes you down to 2-9, are you still going to be feeling that way?
Yeah, you go feel. Yeah, man, I changed my mind. I think
Right.
Yeah, it's time. Time for you guys to move on somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the hard part. Your emotions get involved in it. So hopefully, they look much improved, and you see the guys getting better each and every week. And then, if they get to 6 wins, man, I'm hoping they get to 7. Some of these guys got to be on warp speed. We'll find out how quickly some of these guys mentally can handle what the offensive defense and what they're asking them to do. But, man, and it all hinges on the quarterback. So it really doesn't matter. I mean, we could talk all we want to, but the quarterback is the caveat that could change everything. And if he plays phenomenal, at least moving forward, and we see him getting better and see him doing some things that, wow, this guy is special. Hopefully we do. And then all of a sudden, we'll feel a lot better about where we're going.
He's obviously going to set the tone on the field for whatever it may be, right? For whether it's success, work ethic, it doesn't matter. He's going to set the tone on the field. Does he also set the tone off the field for you, as with his dedication of showing up early, leaving late, staying in the film room, organizing stuff? I mean, like, how much of that is also important?
Well, I think it is always important, but, it's so separated. So I would say he definitely is going to set the tone for offense. That's why I said, you could be, as a leader, you can sit there and like, dang, man, why don't you do this and that? Well, I'm not in the offensive meeting rooms. I don't know what the game plan was. All I can do is support them. Now, if it's a defensive player now, yeah, I can go over there and have a conversation. So you let those guys handle that on that side of the ball. I don't know if, in the pros, the quarterback isn't always the spokesman for the entire team. So that's just not how it's operated. We're so separated. It's kind of different.
Gotcha.
We have different schedules.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. This will be it for us today. 3HL's coming up next. Has been covered to with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. And in the meantime,
And in between time,
peace.
We've got the trucks, all the trims, all the towing, all the bells and whistles, and all at Truck Month Savings. Two Rivers Ford is Ford Truck Central.